On today's episode of Drive Hard, I'm going to be taking you to New York State, and I'm going to be bringing along a Native American artifact. I am taking this artifact to the Tonawanda Reservation, and I am returning it to the Iroquois people. I bought this mask years ago from a storage space sale, a storage unit sale, up in Estes Park, Colorado. So yeah, I bought the mask. There was a lot of other masks there. There was other First Nations artwork also there. A lot of stuff from northwestern United States, like Vancouver. But the mask that I looked at and decided to choose was from a store in Ontario, Canada. So that was interesting. Other things to note, I did purchase a couple prints from that storage unit sale, and they're still hanging in my house right now. Let's go back to the TikTok. I only paid $15 for it, and I thought it was cool, and it would look neat hanging in my cabin. I don't know anything about masks, and I saw these tags on the back, so I thought, well, this is probably a tourist object, you know, like you could buy other Native American crafts when you're around the reservations. I just thought it was one of these things. So I bought it and hung it in my house. But recently I've been a little hard up for money, so I thought I'd list it on eBay with some other stuff that I have and try to make a little bit of money back. In the video, I say that I'm hard up for money, and that's why I'm selling the masks, and here's the reason why. During the COVID shutdown, I had to push out a trip to Las Vegas that I had comped rooms for through one of the casinos. Because of that, I had an unexpected plane ticket to purchase pretty darn quick while planning a completely different trip that was going to take place in March of 2022. So 2 major expenditures with the flights and then car rental and booking all the other reservations for the other trip. It made things a little tight. So my inclination was to sell this mask at a ridiculous cost, and if someone were willing to pay that money, I would be happy to sell that to them. But it wasn't really that I wanted to sell the mask. It just seemed like a right time to give it a shot. So that's what I did. I followed the eBay guidelines and listed all the information I had about the person who made it, the clan they were from, the reservation they were at, the country of origin. I started to get very excited because it was getting a lot of attention on eBay. In 4 days it had a few hundred people who had looked at it, and a few dozen people were watching it. So about 15 minutes ago, I was looking at the listing, just checking out the progress of it. The listing was going to end on Friday, and I thought, you know, maybe this thing was going to sell. But it was deleted. When that notice came from eBay that I had violated the guidelines in regards to selling something from a Native American, I was a bit confused because I really did follow it to the letter. And what made it easy to do was all the information was on the tags on the back of that mask. So I decided to look kind of at what the mask was, and I found an old article. It looked like it had been from the 70s. And this article stated that the mask is carved from a living tree, that the mask is not detached from the tree until the mask is complete. And because it is from a living tree, that the Native Americans consider this a living thing. It is part of their family. They are related to it, and it is related to them. So that's just one of the things I learned. And then I got this notice from the Tonawanda council offices. I didn't know why it was deleted because I followed all of eBay's guidelines. And then a notice came through. Here's the notice. It explains that this mask is sacred, it is medicine, it is carved from a living tree, and I learned in a different source that it is not removed from the tree until the mask is completely carved. They're asking to have the mask back. I didn't know. I had no idea. So, what do I do now? I'm pretty sure what's going to happen next is I'm going to get in my van and drive 5 hours up to New York, and I'm going to return this. I think this is an excellent reason to have a road trip to New York. I'm going to call the tribal council right now and see if I can make arrangements to do this in a couple weeks. So I did just that. I called the Tonawanda Council offices and I spoke with a guy named Cole. And when he found out that I was willing to give the mask back to them, he sounded really excited. And it was a short call. I didn't really get to tell him anything about the mask, but I did tell him that I would call him in a couple weeks to let him know exactly when I would be able to head his way and bring them the mask. Today is Monday the 27th, and it's the day that I drive to New York to take back the tribal mask, medicine mask, to the Iroquois. Broken Nose is inside that box, and it was requested that he be wrapped up in 100% cotton. So I have a Guatemalan throw that I brought back from Guatemala years ago, and I think it's apropos considering a indigenous Guatemalan weaved the material. Well, I guess I could open the box and at least show you the wrap job. Yeah, he's in there. The drive is going to be about 5 hours long. I was going alone, but then my mom decided she wanted to go along for the ride because there's probably going to be foliage to see, colorful foliage on the way. Once I hand off the mask, we're going to hang around in that area of New York for just a little bit, spending the night, going to grab some food. I'd love to find a source of Indian tacos because I've never had them before, and I am so intrigued. On Monday, September 27th, I had my van all loaded up and ready to hit the highway to head to New York so I could hand off the tribal medicine mask to the Tribal Council of the Iroquois. Got in the van, went to Best Buy because I lost a piece of GoPro equipment that I needed, and that took a little bit of time. Got on the highway, hit the gas, and my van started to sputter and cough. Then my engine light came on and it started flashing like crazy, so I had to get off the highway and make my way back to the house. Made it back to the house with no problem, and loaded up the van stuff into the car. However, my car is not at all prepared for road trips. It has no GoPro mounts. My windshields were nasty. It hadn't been washed in a while, so my suction cups weren't going to work on the windshield. And at this point, I was already 2 hours behind on the trip because of the van acting up. So it was a matter of just getting in the car and heading out. The drive was real pretty. It was a really nice day, and it was light traffic, so it made moving through the States pretty darn easy. Got some gas and saw this neat lighthouse, so did a quick drive-by photograph of that. Got to watch Lake Erie for a bit. Made it into New York, and it was time to find the tribal office. At the tribal office, I met Cole and handed off the mask. He was overjoyed to have it. Did not open the box while I was there because I am not supposed to see it. So I knew from that moment on I would never see Broken Nose again. Cole and I discussed how I got the mask. He was a little disappointed to hear that I only paid $15 for it because it's extremely valuable. But he did say that it was obvious that events happened for a certain reason, and it all led me to their office to give that mask back. So that was kind of cool. I asked if I could interview him for my podcast because I thought it'd be cool to get his point of view as to why people should give these things back to the natives, but he respectfully declined, mentioned a couple reasons, and I agreed with those and won't even mention them here now. After the handoff, Mom and I went to stay in a hotel in Batavia for the night. Forgive me if I mispronounced the name of the town. Nice little town, though. It ended up being a really nice trip, despite the hitches with the van and other things. And it was really good to just have the opportunity to do the right thing. And the van's fixed now. It's ready to hit the road. It had some burnt out coils, starter coils, near the spark plugs, and it's all taken care of. So I'll be back on the road soon with the van. And that pretty much wraps up the story of taking the tribal mask to the Tonawanda Reservation and handing it off to the Iroquois people. It was a lovely trip. I had nice weather. It was good to take my mom with me. She always likes a good ride. And again, it was nice to have the opportunity to do the right thing, keeping the Zooter name clear as far as Indian affairs are concerned. And I did not get the Indian tacos. It turns out that Native American restaurants are hard to come by, far and few apart. So maybe at a powwow somewhere down the road, I will have that chance. I hope so, because I'm still very intrigued. All right, that's it for this episode. I appreciate you hanging out and watching. In a couple weeks, I'm headed off on another road trip for around the holidays, and I will get to you soon after that. Have a good one.
Okay, cheers.